everybody. Sorry that it's taken me till 12 o'clock. I know most of you don't care, but believe it or not, I got a few texts and emails on WhatsApp wondering where my thought of the day is. It's not like I was sleeping in. I'm dealing with a lot of challenges. People that are unhealthy and need speedy recovery, and it's just been a hectic, long morning. We're all trying to be optimistic, but amidst the optimism lies a lot of challenges and struggle and pain. And when you hear someone who's not doing well, or you speak to someone and you try to help someone, it makes you realize, yes, to have gratitude, but also to realize the pain that people are going through. So I wanted to give you a thought of the day, because Torah only helps, it's therapeutic. So this week's Torah portion is the portion of Leviticus. We read Vayikra Hashem al Moshe. God calls out to Moses, and it teaches us the laws of sacrifices. Sacrifices were brought in the temple. But today, we don't have a temple, and we don't bring sacrifices. I hope we don't. Most of us don't. And therefore, some people feel like the portion is irrelevant, and the whole book of Leviticus might be irrelevant. But of course, we all know that there's 4 levels to Torah. It's called Pardes, the garden. There's Pshat, the simple, Remez, those things that are hinted in the Torah, Drush, the Midrash, and Sod, the esoterical part of Torah. And every single thing we read in Vayikra might have a literal meaning, but it also has an esoterical, spiritual significance to it. And that stays regardless if we're bringing sacrifices or not. So I want to tell you, the Torah in this week's Torah portion tells us about what we do when someone sins. 4 types of people that sin and the type of sacrifice they bring to atone for it. One is the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. The other one is the Sanhedrin, the Supreme Court. The other one is the Nasi, the leader. And the last one is the individual. By each of them, of those 3, the first 3 of the 4, the Torah says if a high priest sins, if the high court sins, if an individual sins, then he brings this and this sacrifice. But when it comes to the leader, the Torah says not if, im, which is the Hebrew word, but asher, when. Not if a leader will sin, but when they will sin. And the question, of course, is every word in Torah is accurate and detailed. Why is the Torah telling us this? And what's the message by the Torah telling us not if, but when? You ever try to teach a young kid to ride a bicycle? And you want to get him to get on without training wheels? There's no daddy. I might fall. And what do you tell your kid? No, not you might fall. You will fall. But the only way you're going to learn is if you go on and you fall. The only way you learn how to walk is if you get up and you fall down a few times. Tells us the Sforno, and the Rebbe elaborates at this, that Asher Nasi Yechda, the Torah is telling us an important lesson for a leader. That a leader, naturally, who gets up to do leadership is going to fail. He's going to sin. He's going to make a mistake. So that might make you afraid of being a leader. Why should I go into a leadership position if I might sin? Tells us the Torah that God knows that we're going to sin. That God knows that we might have shortcomings. That we might not be perfect. But yet God implores us to go into a position of leadership, of making a difference. Because although we might sin, we're not angels. God doesn't expect us to be perfect. He expects us to lead and to make a difference. Imagine, say the story about this 40-year-old guy. Izzy sees his friend and says, I'm wondering, I'm not married, maybe I should get married. And his friend says, yeah, I think it's a good idea. He says, either you'll find a lovely woman and you'll be happy, or you won't find a lovely woman and you'll become a philosopher. And that's a great thing for a man. So should we say, maybe don't get married because it might not be perfect? Maybe don't have kids because it might not be perfect? We all know that someone who doesn't get married won't have a fight in his home because there'll be no one to fight with. Someone who doesn't have children won't have issues with education because he won't have anyone to educate. But is that the point? A ship that's docked is not what we're worried about. It's the ship that sails that we're worried about. But that's the one that we need, and that's what a ship is there for. So the message really is, don't be worried about failure. Just 2 things. Make sure, A, that you never repeat the same mistake again. And make sure, B, that you're ready to say I'm sorry. You know, from when I was a young kid, my mother always taught me. And she says, Mendy, you might not be perfect, you might make mistakes, but always have the courage to say I'm sorry. It's easy. Always have the courage to recognize that. And you know what? You'll be a better person for it. So the Torah tells us, Asher nasi yechte. You know what happens? It's not if, but when. We're all bound in sense of leaderships in our homes, in our communities, in our work. We're all bound to failure. But not to failure, to sin. But if we learn from it, we become better human beings. But if we're hermits at home, nothing will happen to us. But what will we accomplish? Years ago, someone once came to the Rebbe, and he was speaking to the Rebbe about the difference between angels and human beings. And so the Rebbe asked him, what do you like? He says, I like poetry. I love it. So the Rebbe says, tell me, you ever buy a piece of art? He says, yeah, how much do you spend? He says, look, Rebbe, it's all relative. It could be $5,000, it could be $10 million. The Rebbe says, you ever buy a picture? He says, yes. And the Rebbe says, how much does it cost? He says, that's just, the photo is 25 cents, 50 cents, $5, depending how big, depending which store you go to, but it's inexpensive. And the Rebbe turns to him and says, I don't understand. When it comes to a picture is the identical copy of the person. It's the real person. You pay so inexpensive. But when it comes to the piece of art, that's not exact. You're paying millions of dollars possibly, or so much money. Why? And the man looked at the Rebbe looked at him, and the man looked at the Rebbe and says, Rebbe, you don't understand. A picture is dead. A piece of art is alive. It's full of life. It's full of vibrancy. It might not be perfect, but it's full of life. And the Rebbe smiled at him, and the Rebbe says, that's the difference between an angel and a human being. An angel might be perfect, but they're robotic. A human being might be imperfect, but they have the opportunity to change, to make a difference in the world that no angel could make. And that's the message the Torah tells us, Asher nasi yechte. Not if, but when you sin. Don't be afraid of sin. Have the courage to go out there and to make a difference and to change this world. And I'll finish off with one story and then a message. He said a story about this guy who was a carpenter. He worked for a company and he built homes. And one day he came to his boss and said, listen, I'm 70 years old. I think it's time to retire. I've done so much and I want to retire. So his boss says, listen, do me one favor. I understand you want to retire, but build me one more home. And then you can retire. So the guy says, no problem. But he's already tired. He wants to retire. So he starts building the home. But he doesn't put in so much effort and thought. And he finishes the home and he comes to his boss and he gives him the keys. And he says, here's the keys to the home. And the boss says, no. This home is for you. You worked for so many years with dedication for me. I wanted to leave you a gift. This home is for you. And the guy looks at the boss and says, why didn't you just tell me it was for me? I would have built it so much better. I would have put in so much more effort into making this home the perfect home. Every nail we knock in, everything we build is for ourselves to make a difference. Go out there, build and build. Have courage to lead, and God willing, God will help you to succeed. And the same thing is in the time we're living now. Doctors, nurses, leaders in every aspect of life. Have the courage. Let's be out there to make a difference, not to be scared of failure. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be earlier.